Joining me right now is Missouri Congressman, the chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee, Chairman Jason Smith. Mr. Chairman, good to see you this morning. Thanks very much for being here.
Great to be with you, Maria.
What should we expect from the James Biden testimony?
Well, hopefully we'll have a very cooperative witness because we have a lot of questions before. As Jim Jordan just highlighted, we want the terms of the loan. What was the $240,000 that Joe Biden loaned James Biden? Was there interest paid? Because in President Biden's tax returns, it sure doesn't show that there's been any interest income. We also want to know all of the business dealings that were never asked. Never asked. When the IRS whistleblowers highlighted that investigators was wanting to ask James Biden numerous questions that led to President Joe Biden, but high-ups in the Justice Department said you cannot ask any questions in regards to President Joe Biden.
Yeah, I want to get your take on how they used the tactics for AmeriCorps and whether or not it was the same tactics. But right now we're looking on screen at this check that Sarah and James Biden Sr., James Biden sends to his brother Joe Biden. It's for $40,000, which, of course, is 10% of the overall $400,000, which came from China. Is that correct?
That's exactly, it's a Chinese energy company that Joe Biden says that his son was not involved in. In fact, in 2020, in the presidential debate with Donald Trump, Joe Biden was asked a question if his son had received any money from the Chinese, and he said absolutely not. But what we know different, last week we had Tony Bobulinski come in for one of these transcribed interviews, Maria, and he stated the date, the time, and the location in 2017, where he sat down with President Biden and explained exactly all the business activities with that Chinese energy company that James Biden was also a part of.
And they were negotiating this, according to Tony Bobulinski, while Joe Biden was still vice president before 2017. So I'm looking at this Politico article about how James Biden, and the title is Biden's brother used his name, Biden, to promote a hospital chain, then it collapsed. Jim Biden played a major role in a company called AmeriCorps, which the government has accused of massive Medicare fraud. The piece goes on to really detail the way that the Bidens came up with the structure so that they could get paid. And Jim Biden spoke of plans to give his brother Joe equity in AmeriCorps. According to one AmeriCorps executive, they talked about installing him on the board of directors. According to a second, they also talked about Jim Biden offering to secure capital for investors from the Middle East. And they also talked about money up front. Is this the same structure that was used for CEFC? Because these are two completely different stories. One is a domestic situation, James Biden trying to get business from AmeriCorps. The other is the Communist Party of China's energy company and Biden family accepting money. But the structures, are they exactly the same, the way they set these things up?
Maria, this is the pattern that the Biden family business dealings had. They set up numerous LLCs, joint ventures, and they transfer money from one entity to another. What's quite interesting is this $200,000 loan repayment to President Biden from James Biden. It happened to be the same amount of money that one of those accounts got that ultimately filtered to James Biden from AmeriCorps. It's just, you continue to follow the facts. You see that they continue to lead to what the IRS whistleblowers originally said, and that is President Joe Biden is the brand that the family has been selling for millions all over the world and domestically.
Do you believe this influence peddling was going on while Joe Biden was vice president?
Without a doubt. Without a doubt, Maria. We see so many instances where there were official activities in the vice president's office that were also tied up with Hunter Biden and James Biden's business associates.
Wow. That's incredible. And I know that Tony Bobulinski testified to that. But let's talk about the news of the morning, because Hunter Biden's attorneys this morning are asking a California judge to dismiss all the tax charges against Hunter, claiming that indicted ex-FBI informant Alexander Smirnoff has tainted the special counsel investigation, David Weiss's investigation. Hunter's attorney writes this: "It is more remarkable that beginning in July 2023, the special counsel's team would follow Mr. Smirnoff down his rabbit hole of lies as long as it did." Smirnoff, of course, was indicted for allegedly lying to investigators about Hunter and Joe's business in Ukraine. He's been released from custody, but the Department of Justice now says he has extensive ties to Russia intelligence. Mr. Chairman, correct me if I'm wrong, this is the individual who said a Burisma executive told him, you got to give $5 million to one Biden and you got to give $5 million to the other Biden. And we need the Biden's family to help protect this company. We got to pay them off, the father and the son. What do you want to say about Smirnoff? For months, we were told this is an incredibly trusted FBI source being paid six figures. Now, all of a sudden, he's indicted.
Let me just say this, Maria. Those two IRS whistleblowers never got access to Smirnoff's report. They never had that. And in their testimony and in their investigation, their research, they said that Hunter Biden should be charged with every one of the crimes that he's charged with in the California court. In fact, that should have been done years before. The only reason why Hunter Biden wasn't charged years before is because his last name is Biden, Maria.
So, I mean, I'm just trying to understand how it's possible that you've got this person who's supposed to be a very important, trusted informant, that the government can turn around and indict him. How are you going to get more whistleblowers to actually tell you what they know if they're afraid that the DOJ is going to weaponize the agencies against them?
Maria, the whistleblowers, especially the IRS whistleblowers, have claimed retaliation against them at the IRS. We've had more, Maria, whistleblowers come forward that has not been made public yet in the Ways and Means Committee. And I am afraid that these tactics by those lawyers and by several entities in the Democrat Party, that this only pushes the whistleblowers from not coming forward. But I'm thankful for the ones that have so far.
The Political report that I mentioned about the AmeriCorps story details how James Biden once said Joe Biden was sitting right next to him during a healthcare pitch. I've got my brother, he's right next to me. This revelation mirrors the Hunter Biden infamous 2017 WhatsApp message, which was turned over to your committee by IRS whistleblowers. He warned that Chinese business associate that he better pay up because he's going to make sure that his father and everybody he knows remembers that he did not follow his direction, and I am sitting here with my father, he wrote in this WhatsApp message. So again, same pattern?
Maria, it's exactly the same pattern, and it goes to show what Bobulinski and all the other, a lot of the other witnesses said. Bobulinski testified last week and said that Joe Biden was not just a participant, as the WhatsApp messages showed that the IRS whistleblowers highlighted, but he was an enabler in these business activities. That is what Tony Bobulinski testified last week in his transcribed deposition.
So let me get your take on the evidence at hand, because, Mr. Chairman, you know that critics of this investigation have come back, and even your colleagues in Congress, Democrats like Dan Goldman, among others, Adam Schiff, they're basically saying, look, Joe Biden is clean. He has not had any involvement here. So can you lay out for us what you believe to be the most egregious evidence that you have that Joe Biden was aware and was participating in this influence peddling and potential money laundering and bribery scheme?
Well, let's just say this, Maria. Joe Biden stood before the American people on numerous occasions saying that he knew nothing about his son's business dealings. We know that that's not true. He then went on and said that he wasn't involved in his son's business dealings. Based on WhatsApp messages, text messaging, and testimony, we know that that's not true. It continues to lead to him. If Joe Biden knew that his family was selling his brand, his access to foreign entities in Russia, Russia, China, Ukraine, he could have stopped it, but he didn't because he knew it was financially benefiting his family.
All right, we will leave it there. Mr. Chairman, we'll be watching your work. We so appreciate your time this morning. Thank you, sir.